So, welcome guys. Today we are going to see the fourth chapter known as Maharashtra before the times of Shivaji Maharaj. This is a very important chapter. Now, let us see the first paragraph of this chapter. At the beginning of 17th century. Remember, in this chapter, we are talking about 17th century. 17th century. Uh, the most of the territories in Maharashtra was under the control of Nizam Shah of Ahmednagar. So most of the territory in the state of Maharashtra, current state of Maharashtra, was under Nizam Shah of Ahmednagar and Adil Shah of Bijapur. Now let us see where these territories of Ahmednagar and Bijapur in present day Maharashtra lie. So as you can see here, this is Ahmednagar and this is Bijapur. These were the territories of Nizam Shahi and uh, these were the territories of Nizam Shahi and Adil Shahi. As you can see, Bijapur was of Adil Shahi. Here you can see Golconda. So this was the Deccan Sultanate, right? So at the beginning of 17th century, the Mughal had entered Khandesh. Now, Mughals entered the Khandesh. So where is Khandesh now? So this is a map of Khandesh. Presently Jalgaon district, Thude district, Nandurbar district come in the part of Khandesh. So as you can see clearly here, this part is your Khandesh. This is Nashik. And this the whole area is Maharashtra. So the northern part, northwestern part of Maharashtra comprises of Khandesh. Now, the Mughal had entered Khandesh. Their objective was to expand their power in the south. Now, Mughal had wanted to expand their power to the south. They want to conquer the territories of southern India. There were settlements of Siddhi people. So, Siddhi people were there who had come from African subcontinent along the coastline of Konkan region. The competition and conflict among the Portuguese, the British, the French. So there was a competition, and there was a conflict between Portuguese, British power, French power, and the Dutch, because a lot of the traders from European region came to India for basically trading purposes, because they were always in search of India, because India had a lot of potential, lot of market, and lot of material. So they wanted to capture. That's why Portuguese, British, French, and Dutch power, they came to India, and in India, they had competition and conflict amongst them who had come from Europe was getting intense during this period. So the competition was getting intense during this period. There was a stiff competition among them to capture the market for the trade. Now, why was there competition? To capture the market. Because if you capture the market, then you can earn a lot of money, or you can earn a lot of capital from that market. The Portuguese had already established their rule in Goa and Vasai. So Portuguese had were present in Goa and Vasai on the western coastline. So Goa is basically in the southern side of Maharashtra, a small state. The British, the Dutch, and the French had found an entry through the medium of trading companies by setting up factories. So here the British, the French, and the Dutch, they entered Indian politics or Indian competition by the medium of trading companies by setting up factories. So they set up a factories inside India at different locations for their trade purposes. All these powers assess the strength of other powers. Now, uh, now to be ahead in the competition, you have to know what is your competition. So that's why these powers, British, Dutch, French, they assess the strength of other powers and kept themselves safe and tried to dominate as much as possible. This conflict had created instability and insecurity. Obviously, when two or more things compete with each other, it will create an instability and insecurity among each other. In Maharashtra, these different people from Europe were called topkars. So this is an important term. These were called topkars on the basis of their customary headgear. Basically, when people wear something on their head, so based on their headgear, they were called topkars. It is necessary to get acquainted with the village. Village back then was called Mauja, Kasbah, and Pargana to understand the nature of settlement in that period, as also of the officers that formed a link between the ruler and their subjects, and also the market and craftsmen. Pargana was made up of many villages. So this is a crucial information. What is Pargana? It was a combination of villages. It is known as Pargana. Generally, the headquarters of Pargana was called as Kasbah. So, Kasbah is basically an headquarter of Pargana. A village smaller than Kasbah was called Mauja. So why these terms are important? Because at that time these terms are only prevalent. The village term is now the modern term, but at that time Mauja was a village. So Mauja was called as village. So these traders, they wanted to enter into the politics, the market of the particular region. So they had to get acquainted with the local terms. So local term was Mauja, Kasbah, Pargana, right? Now let us get acquainted in brief with village, Kasbah, and Pargana respectively. Now let us see what is this village or Mauja uh, uh, called, and how these terms were used. Most of the people lived in villages. A village was called Mauja. Now, village was called Mauja. The chief of the village was the Patil. Now, here the term Patil uh, is present. Now, Patil was the head of the Mauja, or you can call it a village. Back then, Patil was a very prominent term or prominent surname for that matter, and he was the head of the village. He used to try to bring maximum land under cultivation. Now, the what is the function of Patil was he used to try to bring maximum land under cultivation. Cultivation. When there was any dispute in the village, the Patil resolved it and made peace. So this was the function of Patil. So he, as a head, he resolved dispute and made peace. Kulkarni helped the Patil in his work. Now this is another surname, Kulkarni. Kulkarni helped the Patil in his work. Kulkarni kept the record of the revenue that was collected. Now, what was the function of Kulkarni? He kept the record of the revenue that was collected. There were various artisans in the villages. They had hereditary rights. Now, they had a hereditary rights regarding their occupation. What is hereditary right? The right that is given from generation to generation is a hereditary right. So, if your father is a painter, then his son will be a painter. So, that was a hereditary right. The peasant gave a share of their agricultural produce. Now peasants, they gave their share of agricultural produce to the artisan for the services they render. So if a peasant wanted his house to be decorated, so artisan uh, were called to help, and when the artisan provided help, the peasant gave a share of their agriculture produce to the village community. This share was known as baluta. So this share was known as baluta. Now the next is kasbah. A kasbah was like a big village. Now, kasbah is a big village. It was actually the headquarter of the pargana. So, it was a headquarter of pargana. Example, Indapur kasbah of Indapur pargana. So, Indapur was the name of kasbah. Why kasbah of why pargana were the headquarters of those parganas. Agriculture was the main occupation. Now, agriculture at that time, 1700 century around 16 to 1700 was a main occupation. There were skilled artisans like carpenters, blacksmiths, etc. in the Kasbah. So there was usually a market. Market, that the name, specific in local name is Pet. Still prevalent, this local term for a market. The Shete and Mahajan were Watandars. Now, another local term, Shete. Shete is a surname and Mahajan is also a surname. So, they were Watandars of the Pet. So, every village did not necessarily have a pet. The setting up of a pet was a job of Shetes and Mahajans. So, what was a pet? Pet was basically a marketplace. Marketplace, and setting up of pet was a job of Shetes and Mahajans. For that, they received some land from the government and some rights from the villagers. The Mahajan maintained the account of pet. So as you can see, the Mahajan was a accountant for the pet. Now there is some activity. As per the order of Veer Mata Jijabai, a pet was established in Pashan near Pune. It was called Jijapur, Malpura, Khelpura, Paraspura, Itapura in Aurangabad are also now paths established in the name of Maloji, Kheloji, Parasoji, and Vitoji respectively. Shivapur adjacent to Khed was a path established in the name of Shivaji Maharaj. So this is actually present Shivapur adjacent to Khed in the western side of Maharashtra near Pune district. Now another activity, let us learn. The words Budruk and Khurd are used to show that the two villages are different. The original town is Budruk. Now the original town is called as Budruk and the new town is Khurd. For example, Badegaon Budruk and Badegaon Khurd. Pargana. Many villages together made Pargana, but the number of villages was not the same in all Parganas. For example, Pune Pargana was a big Pargana. It consisted 290 villages. There were 64 villages in Chakan Pargana. The Shirwal Pargana was small; it had only 40 villages. The Deshmukh and the Deshpande were the Watandars officer of the Pargana. So the Deshmukh and the Deshpandes were Watandars of the Pargana. The Deshmukh was the chief of Patil in Pargana. So the Deshmukh were chief of Patil in Pargana. A Deshmukh did at the Pargana level. The Deshmukh did at the Pargana level what the Patil did at village level. So basically, Deshmukh was senior than Patil. The Deshpande was a chief of all Kulkarnis. So Deshpande was a chief of all Kulkarnis in Pargana. The Deshpande did at the Pargana level the work that Kulkarnis did at the village level. These Watandar officers were the link between the people and the government. In case of enemy invasion or drought, these Watandar represented the grievances of the people to the government. Sometimes these officers misuse their powers. So lot of the times officers misuse their powers. They collected more money from the people than was due or did not remit the money so collected to the government in the time. On such occasion, the people suffered harassment. Now there is an activity. Batan is an Arabic word. In Maharashtra, it is used is referred to hereditary land for which the holder does not have to pay revenue. Watan is an Arabic word. The calamity of a famine. Agriculture was dependent on rainwater at that time. If it did not rain, crop would fail. The prices of food grain rose. It became difficult for people to get food grains and other things. So there was no fodder for the cattle. So if the agriculture at that time was rain fed basically, still the agriculture is rain fed in lot of the part of the Indian subcontinent. But when the rain didn't come, the crop would fail and there were no fodder for the cattle also. Water became scarce. It became difficult for people to live in the villages. They were forced to leave the village. The famine was a great calamity of the people. A great famine occurred in Maharashtra in 1630. People were greatly distressed due to this famine. Now, in 16th century, a great famine occurred in Maharashtra. People were greatly distressed due to this famine. It has been described in these words: people were ready to sell themselves for a piece of bhakri. So this kind of a severe, famine at that time occurred in 16th century Maharashtra. People were ready to sell themselves for a piece of bhakri, but there was nobody to buy them. So there was nobody to buy them. There was a severe scarcity of food grains. Entire families were destroyed. Cattle, farm, animal died. Agriculture was devastated. The famine put an end to industries. Now, the result was the industries collapsed at that time. All financial transactions came to standstill. People had no wander to faraway regions in the search of livelihood. People had to wander. Now, people had to leave their places to go search for food elsewhere and for livelihood. It was a great challenge to bring back normalcy, the devastated life of the people. So, work of a Warkari movement. Now, what is this Warkari movement? The society was greatly influenced by blind beliefs and rituals. At that time, there was a lot of superstition, a lot of blind beliefs and rituals. People had become fatalist and inert. They had lost all initiatives. The condition of the common people was miserable. In such circumstances, sons in Maharashtra endeavored to inspire the masses. So it was a lot of negativity was present at that time. So the sons, a lot of sons took upon themselves to spread positivity, to spread hope at that time in Maharashtra in 17th to 16th century. In Maharashtra traditions of Sant which began with Sant Jnaneshwar. Now this is a first Sant Jnaneshwar and Sant Namdev was carried on by sons coming from various stratas of society. People from all stratas of society were part of Sant tradition. For example, Sant Chokhamela, Sant Garoba, Sant Sena, Sant Savta, Sant Narhari, Sant Sheikh Mohammed, etc. Sant Chokoba's wife, Sant Soirabai, and sister Sant Nirmalabai, son Muktabai, Sant Janabai, and other women were also among them. Pandharpur was at the center of the Sant movement. So, at the center of the Sant movement, Pandharpur was there. Now, as you can see here, Pandharpur's location. So, this is the location of Pandharpur with respect to Maharashtra. This is Mumbai. This is Navi Mumbai. This is Pandharpur. So, Pandharpur is between Solapur and Kolhapur. As you can see, Satara, Solapur. So, here is Latur. So, here it is the Pandharpur. The Pandharpur was at the center of Sant movements. Vitthal was the objective of their worship. So, Vitthal was the objective of their worship on the bank of the river Chandrabhaga at Pandharpur. The Sant and pilgrims Warkari used to rejoice in their devotion bhakti. Their equality was propagated through bhajans, kirtans, and unity meals. So, unity meals were known as kala. Kirtans, bhajans, bhakti, Warkari are some local terms. Sant Namdev, he was a great sant of the Warkari movement. Warkari movement. He was a skilled organizer. He performed excellent kirtans. So let us dive into what was the Warkari movement. As you can see here, Warkari is a religious movement, sampradaya within the Bhakti spiritual traditions of Hinduism. It is geographically associated with the Indian state of Maharashtra and Northern Karnataka. In the Marathi language of Maharashtra, Wari means pilgrimage and pilgrim is called as Varkari. So basically, it was a part of a bhakti movement to attain spirituality, to follow the spiritual path. Was basically a Varkari movement. So Sant Namdev was a of Warkari movement. He was a skilled organizer. He performed excellent kirtans as well. He awakened the sense of equality. Now, equality in man and woman, belonging to all caste, through the medium of kirtans. So this was a Sant Namdev. His pledge was this was his page. His Abhangas composition are well known. Many sons, as well as common people, were influenced by his teaching. He went up to the Punjab propagating. So now he went up to the Punjab propagating. That is, Punjab is in north, right? Propagating his thought, his composition are included in the Guru Granth Sahib. So his composition are already included in the Guru Granth Sahib. So as you can see, there is a religious synthesis happening because the Guru Granth Sahib is a part of Sikhism, and this Sant Namdev's composition is a part of Marathi literature or Marathi culture or Warkari culture. He propagated the message of Bhagavad religion in all quarters. He built a memorial to Sant Chokamela at Pandharpur. His work is unforgettable. Now the next Sant is Sant Naneshwar. He was a great Sant in the Warkari movement. He wrote Bhavar, Bhavartha Deepika or Naneshwari, which elucidates the meaning of Sanskrit Bhagavad Gita. Now, it basically translated the Bhagavad Gita from Sanskrit. He also composed the Amrutanubhav. Amrutanubhav. He preached the importance of the path of devotion through his works and composition, and he showed a simple way of worship and conduct which the common people could follow easily. He gave the prestige of the religion to the Warkari movement. Now, through his life, though his life was spent in extremely adverse circumstances, he never lost the calm of his mind and never harbored bitterness. His Pasayadhana in Jnaneshwari uplifts the mind. The poetic composition of his brothers Sant Nivruttanath and Sant Sopandev, sister Muktabai, are well known. Now, Sant Eknath. He was a great Sant of Bhakti movement in Maharashtra. Now, the another Sant is Sant Eknath. So, he was a Sant of a Bhakti movement, similar to as that of a Warkari movement. His compositions are many and diverse. They include Abhanga, Kavalana, Bharud, etc. He has started Bhagavad Dharma in detail and in a simpler manner. He has portrayed people's life in Bhavartha Ramayana. Through the story of Ram, he explained in Marathi the bhakti part of Sanskrit or Bhagavad. His Abhangas show the warmth of devotion. He demonstrated through his own conduct that there is no need to renounce worldly matters for attaining highest paramartha. He was a teacher of a people in the true sense of term. He believed that our Marathi language was inferior to no other language. He asked the Sanskrit scholar forcefully. He heavily criticized those who hated the other religion. Now the next sant is Sant Tukaram. He belonged to Dehu near Pune. His composition or abhangas are very pleasing and lucid, reaching the greatest poetic heights. His gatha is a precious treasure of the Marathi language. He asked us to find God by showing love to unhappy and the tormented in the following lines. जे का रंजले गांजले त्यासी म्हणे जो आपुले तोची साधू ओळखावा देव तेथेची जाणावा. So with this viewpoint he threw in the river Indrayani the document of the loan that people had borrowed from him and freed many poor families from the bonds of loan. He criticized the hypocrisy and superstition in the society in a very strong term. He stressed the states that the devotion, that is bhakti, should be coupled with morality. His teaching can be summed up as this is his teaching. Some dogmatic people opposed the social awakening that he had undertaken and sank his Abhangas in Indrayani. Sant Tukaram faced the opposition with noble courage. Now, Sant Tukaram disciples and associates were of different caste and creed. They include Navji Mali, Governor Shetwani, Sat- Santji Jagnade, Shivba Kasar. So these were his, associates. An important task completed by Gangaram Pant Mawad and Santji Jagnade was writing down the Abhangas of Sant Tukaram. So his disciples or his associates were these Sant Tukaram. This is the image of Sant Tukaram. Very important figure. Work of sons. Sons gave the message of equality. They taught humanity. They preached that people should live together in harmony, unity, love. Their work resulted in social awakening. They taught how to live in the face of foreign invasion, drought-like situation, or any other natural calamities. Their teaching proved to be a big support for the people. Their work created self-confidence among the people of Maharashtra. There was a deterioration of ethics and religion in the society. At such a time, Sant came forward to protect the society. They taught the true meaning of religion. They showed the people of devotion by living amongst people and sharing their joys and sorrows. Some orthodox dogmatic people opposed them, but the Sant believed that facing this opposition was a part of their duty. Sant Tukaram has explained the mark of true Sant in these words. तुका म्हणे तोची संत सोशी जगाचे आघात. Basically, the meaning of this word is basically uh, the true sant is basically the one who absorbs all the evil from the society or the world. The sant elucidate the complex dharma of scholars, shastris, and pandits in the language of the people. They prayed to God using simple everyday terms. They took the view that all are equal before God. They taught society to do away with the pride arising out of caste varna and see everyone as a God's children. A characteristic of Sant was that they did not forget their duties on the path of devotion. They found God in their work. Sant Savata said, Sant Savata said, "Kanda muda bhaji, avadhi bithai माझी." This statement refers to farm work but applies to work in all the walks of life. The sons carried on with their duties even as they were engaged in devotion, teaching, and compromising verses. They developed the moral sensibility of the society. Now, let us discuss this. Collect more information about Pandharpur Wari and discuss the following topics. In which month do Warkaris go on the Wari? How is the Wari planned? Now, this is a very simple exercise. We can easily find the answers to this question. So here it is. The Warkari people undertake annual pilgrimage called Wari to Pandharpur, gathering there on Ekadashi, that is 11th day of the Hindu lunar calendar month of Ashadi, corresponding to the date falling sometimes between the late June and July in Gregorian calendar. So basically, this movement, Warkaris go to their Wari in the month of July or end of June. Ramdas Swami. Now this is another. He was from Jamb in Marathwada. He explained the importance of physical fitness to the people. मराठा तितुका मेड व्हावा, Maharashtra Dharma वाढवावा. This message was the of Ramdas Swami is famous. He gave practical education and lessons in good conduct through his works like Dasbodh, Karunashtaka, Manache Shlok. He stated the importance of the people's movement and organization and founded the Samartha Sampradaya. Chapal Chadpad was the center of this sampradaya. He propagated the worship of Rama and Hanumana. He traveled far and wide to propagate his thought. Inspiration for independence during foreign rule. Such was the political, social, cultural situation, etc. in the Maharashtra before the times of Shivaji Maharaj. Now, before the times of Shivaji Maharaj, that is before 17th century. In that period, Maharashtra was under the control of Adil Shahi and other powers. It was not independent. Even so, some personalities and streams of thoughts were dreaming of freedom. Among them, Shivaji Maharaj was considered to be the visionary of Swaraj, was on the forefront. So now we will see the history of Shivaji Maharaj after this chapter. So these are some exercises. So what is village? What is Kasbah? What is Pargana? Which were the officers? What is Budruk, Balut, Vatan? Very easy questions. What is Baru? Explain the importance of physical fitness. So, physical fitness was for Ramdas Swami. Basically, women's sons, Sant Namdev, Sant Jnaneshwar, Sant Eknath, Sant Tukaram. Now, this is the activity plan. How will you help a Warkari Tindi dress up as Sant and present their composition? So, this is a very good cultural activity as you can see here in this photo. So, you can participate in this activity. So, next chapter we will see the foundation of Swaraj. Now, this is the foundation of Swaraj and the history of Shivaji Maharaj. So, thank you.